Okay. Yeah, like I said, here we go. In this week's Bloomberg leak and report on the new Switch, because they've been stacking up lately. The headline this week: Nintendo to use new NVIDIA graphics chip in 2021 Switch upgrade. The salient points in this story are they are saying it will in fact support DLSS, which seemed like it was not a foregone conclusion until this story. I still think it seems a little insane. It's just not something Nintendo would do, because that's going to require some pretty advanced hardware that is not widespread on the market right now, which is just like the least Nintendo-like thing to do, to incorporate something like that. But I guess it's kind of a new era at Nintendo. That says, or that, that necessitates a better CPU, more memory, better GPU, of course. And the other big data point here is more expensive. They don't have...
It's analysts saying they think it will be more expensive.
Yes, analysts
based
expect
on a
the new
report,
Switch.
based on off-the-record discussions, or rather anonymous source discussions.
Yeah, it's a supply chain analysis. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into this. They are predicting as much as $100 more expensive than the current model.
Oh, wow.
So take that as you will.
Do you think the way that the aftermarket around new consoles and graphics cards have exploded is getting anyone to sit down and think, shit, why did we only charge $500 for a PlayStation 5? Like, we could have gone way higher. Look at all the people that are buying them this way at launch. Like, do you think that because if you're Nintendo thinking about launching something like this, you got to be like, well, I mean, yeah, we can always lower the price, but
that that creates,
we can get $400 out of people.
Well, yeah, but remember what happened with the Xbox One, right? Like, that creates a negative brand association right off the bat with people that you don't want, because those things stick around, right? Like, you don't live that reputation down.
Sure.
Like, it's one thing. It's one thing
you piss off those early adopters. I guess there is a cost.
It's one thing for scalpers and even some retailers to jack up prices, but I feel like the actual console makers doing it, you're kind of playing with fire there, is my feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But might have had a negative effect on developers too. Might have made it so they were, at least this is out of Sony's hand, the sort of install base. Whereas if they were going into it, planning on squeezing people, maybe developers would have been that little bit less enthused about working on PS5 stuff.
Yes, sure, that's certainly possible. I don't know. This sounds good. Like I said, though, it just sounds very aggressive for Nintendo. Like they really lowball their tech specs, right? Like, chronically, since the Wii, they're always so far behind everybody else. The idea that like there are not handhelds out there with DLSS right now. Like, I kind of spent a bunch of time looking at Tegra parts this morning, and the Tegra chips that are out there that can support this kind of thing are in use in like self-driving cars and like AI workstations and stuff. Like, actually, I think the Bloomberg story even makes that point. Yes, it's an atypically advanced edition for Nintendo, which has tended to opt for more mature and lower cost technologies than rivals Sony and Microsoft. So
do you think that's just where NVIDIA is with, price points and the tech, that just makes sense for Nintendo to do? And I guess, do you feel this lines up with the previous Bloomberg story?
I think so. What was the previous Bloomberg story? I'm losing track of what they reported when.
OLED screens, right?
OLED screen, yeah, right.
Like 720p OLED, it sounded a little understated in that story. Do you think? Okay. So, do you think that this is a bunch of details being conflated by reporters in a way that maybe this is multiple devices, and that maybe they have a high, and maybe they have maybe they end up having something that is this DLSS model that is the pricier version, but also behind the scenes they are working on a refresh of the base model Switch that would incorporate this larger OLED screen as well, and not necessarily go all the way.
Yeah, that's possible. Sure.
Like this, all these details just seem weird to me, and Yeah,
Because
I don't know.
there are Shield TVs out there that do like AI upscaling to 4K that are not DLSS, but it's still a form of AI upscaling, right? And I just assumed that's
Right.
what would happen. That would trickle down to the Switch. So like, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on over there. You know, pandemics and chip shortages and all this stuff. Like, I'm not sure what's driving the decision making process there.
What do you think the acceptance of Switch Lite has been? Has that, because that passed by me? I was an early adopter on Switch. I can't get a read on whether or not that's something that's still popular.
I think they've been selling all models across the board just fine. I think I don't know what the split is, but I mean, in this day and age when people, especially the year of Animal Crossing and how people were going bananas for that, like it's hard to process what is actual demand for the Switch Lite form factor and what is people saying like, I just got to get some kind of Switch because I need to play this damn game.
Right.
It's hard to tease that out right now.
Looking for some sales figures here. 24.1.
Like a third form factor is already. I guess it's been 4 or 5 years since the original came out, but we're sort of entering DS territory of multiple versions of this thing.
Right.
Like if they release 2 more. I hear what you're saying though, because like the details don't seem like they match up.
Yeah, there's just and I wonder if, well, I guess they're saying pretty definitively the new Switch iteration will support NVIDIA's deep learning super sampling or DLSS. They're not necessarily saying, hey, it'll support some kind of super sampling thing, which would point to like what you're talking about in the Shield TVs that already do some kind of like lower quality AI upsampling. So
yeah, that
also how many of these chips is NVIDIA going to be able to provide?
Yeah,
and like
the
the other part of it is like, and that has to be why these details are just so scattered and weird for something that is supposedly shipping this year.
Right. Is like, does this end up just looking like a paper launch in November? Like that it's technically out there and absolutely nobody can buy it. Like even
or do they speculatively build this thing out and then get to a point where they're like, we actually can't provide enough of these to launch it, and so we're going to push off another year or something like that? Like, you know, are they briefing developers on this in any real way right now? Like they would have to be if this thing is shipping this year. If they were shipping this year, like dev kits would have like yeah, I don't know. The timeline on all this stuff seems super messed up.
Yeah, it's confusing for sure.
Maybe it is. Maybe the plan was this, you know, we're sort of entering that shock phase, right? That sort of second shockwave of everything slowing down.
Yeah, it seems that way for sure. I found some sales numbers here. Looks like in the most recent 9-month period of Switch sales that have been reported, they sold 16.7 million standard Switch models and 7.3 million Switch Lites. So that's a pretty healthy share for the Switch Lite, for sure.
And I wonder if how many do you think they made and sold into the? Is that sell in or sell through?
I think sell through.
Okay.
And how close are those numbers?
I would guess close to 1-to-1, right? Like those things pretty much go as fast as people can, or as fast as they can get them out there, right? Also, the Switch Lite has sold more than the Wii U. The Switch Lite alone has now sold more than the Wii U. So, yeah,
whatever, man. That's all I'll ever need. It's right here, just in case.
Wow, look at that!
Ready to go. Mario,
everything within reach there.
Mine's broken.
Gotta not move. You gotta just have everything right here. Saturn is about
Saturn's
like
down there.
Another 10 feet away back this way it's under that TV back there, but
plugged in.
It just roll over to it at any point.
It is plugged in, but the TV is not plugged in. I moved it recently.
Yes. Let's see. Yeah, and you know, it makes you wonder, like, if they had software launch timing that they were trying to plan around this thing, like, what does that mean for those games? Like, if they're holding big stuff back, like,
that would explain why they didn't show Breath of the Wild 2 at that last thing.
Yeah, like that, or a Bayonetta, or what else is floating around?
Metroid.
Yeah, like how does that? You know, how does the potential soft launch of this thing affect game release dates? Like, it's messy. Seems like a lot of stuff is messy this year.
Give me Mario Golf.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
That's something you can depend on,
off, right? Yeah.
Golf. Yeah, June, I think.
Like June?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Golf is eternal. Mario Golf
Speed
Eternal.
golf.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
with a mouse and keyboard.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Let's see.